You are a paedophile. You are a nonce. You are a perv. You're a slot badger. You're a two-pin din plug. You're a bush dodger. You're a small beam regarder. You're an Unabummer. You're a nut administrator. You're a bent ref. You're the crazy world of Arthur Brown. You're a fence foal. You're a free willy. You're a chimney bottler. You're a bunty man. You're a shrub rocketeer.
Yes, well, you know, you just mentioned some of the names that we have to put up with every day, and it's just another form of racism.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Hello everybody, Dick Coughlin here. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. Now, my last video, I did the Piers Morgan interview with Fiona Harvey, and someone on the comment section posted a very snarky comment saying, oh, 2 weeks late, bro. So I thought, fair enough. In that case, in this video, I'm going to do pretty much the same thing I did with that interview, but with one that's 5 years old, just to piss that one guy off. I mentioned this in the Fiona Harvey video. I mentioned the comparison to Prince Andrew's interview with the BBC. So I thought, fuck it, let's do Prince Andrew's interview with the BBC. Now, many of you, I'm sure, have already seen this interview. If you haven't, this is going to be a joyous experience for you, I have no doubt. To put this in perspective of how fucking amazing this entire interview with Prince Andrew is, at the end of 2019, most media outlets do like countdowns of the top 10, top 50, top 100 best things in music and TV and entertainment and whatever. Well, The Guardian decided to do a top 50 best TV shows of 2019. The Prince Andrew interview came in at 21. That's 9 places above BoJack Horseman and 21 places above Stranger Things. And I know for a fact that this is going to be, this is really a good place to start, because the intro to this video, the audio clip I was using is from a very famous Brass Eye episode where Chris Morris is interviewing a paedophile, and in order to get the audio for that, I had to download the audio from a YouTube video. And the top comment on the YouTube video that I got that audio from literally said, "You're a prince in the British royal family." So really on a winner here with this one. If you like the video, please give it a like, and 10 more likes and it'll really piss my girlfriend off. Yes, please leave a comment, subscribe, share it around, and support me on Patreon. Anyway, let's crack on with this. Play the clip.
We've come to Buckingham Palace in highly unusual circumstances. Normally, we'd be discussing your work, your duty. We'll come on to that.
Just like he came on a teenager's tits.
But today, you've chosen to speak out for the first time. Why have you decided to talk now?
Because there is no good time to talk about Mr. Epstein and all things associated. We've been talking to Newsnight for about 6 months about doing something around the work that I was doing. And unfortunately, we've just not been able to fit it into either your schedule or my schedule.
And this is the most important thing to keep in mind for this entire interview. This was not something he was asked to do. It's not something people were pressuring him into doing. He contacted the BBC and asked them to come to his fucking house and fucking film this. This entire interview, there should be a disclaimer at the bottom saying, just so you know, this fucking buttnut asked us to do this to him.
Until now, and actually it's a very good opportunity, and I'm delighted to be able to see you today.
I'm fine. I'm perfectly fucking fine.
All of this goes back to your friendship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, just full context, this was obviously way after Epstein had been arrested and died.
How did you first become friends? How did you meet?
Well, I met through his girlfriend back in 1999, and I'd known her since she was at university in the UK.
Now, this is the first funny part, because at this stage, nobody knew how much Ghislaine Maxwell actually fucking knew about this. And so, him sitting there saying, oh, you know, it was through his girlfriend that I knew him. I knew her. So I wasn't friends with one sex trafficking, child molester. I was friends with 2 of them. Right?
And it would be, to some extent, a stretch to say that as it were, we were close friends. I mean, we were friends because of other people.
Which is a weird statement to make, given how much shit this guy did to go out of his way to fucking know this guy.
And I had a lot of opportunity to go to the United States, but I didn't have much time with him. I suppose I saw him once or twice a year, perhaps maybe maximum of 3 times a year.
Now, maybe it's just me, never owned a house, let alone multiple. I don't think I would let someone use my house if I didn't know that motherfucker reasonably fucking well.
But it would be a considerable stretch to say that he was a very, very close friend. But he had the most extraordinary ability to bring extraordinary people together.
Andrew, you're 2 minutes into this, and you're already talking about how brilliant this guy was. This is the wrong approach to take. Don't go for this. He brought loads of people together. He brought paedophiles from all walks of life. And, of course, me, just another innocent man.
And that's the bit that I remember, is going to the dinner parties where you would meet academics, politicians, people from the United Nations.
Just throwing everyone under the bus now.
Was that his appeal then? Was that what...
Yes! 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 Yes!
Because you were perceived by the public as being the party prince. Was that something you shared?
I think that's also a bit of a stretch. I don't know why I've collected that title, because I never have really partied.
Now, this is something he does throughout it. He tweets the word party. He says it like it's the weirdest fucking word, like, I've never partied. Like, he's never heard this expression in his fucking life. I don't know why he's waited to now to fucking dispel this myth. There was a book written about Prince Andrew in 1983, and it was titled Andrew the Playboy Prince. Now, you would think, if that was the fucking issue, and it wasn't true, that maybe he should have brought this up then.
I was single for quite a long time.
I cannot imagine why.
But then, after I got married, I was very happy.
For the fucking 6 years they were fucking married. And by the way, we do really owe a bit of an apology, I think, to the woman he married, Sarah Ferguson. For those of you who don't know, in the 90s, obviously the biggest royal sort of like scandal was Princess Diana dying, right? That was the biggest scandal. Do you know what the second biggest scandal was? It was Sarah Ferguson, like, being pictured in a fucking villa in Spain getting her toe sucked by some geezer. And meanwhile, this guy is noncing his way through the fucking, like, the entire Western Hemisphere. Right? But she ended up on the front page because some Spanish geezer she met fucking had a foot fetish. So probably owe a bit of a fucking sorry about that one, Fergie.
And I've never really felt the need to go and party.
Well, yes, Andrew, that's kind of the definition of party, is it's kind of an indulgence. There's no one sitting around needing to party. It's not a need. The fact that you didn't need to, do you know why you didn't need to? Because that's all you were fucking doing for 15 pissing bastard years. It's much in the same reasoning as Philip Seymour Hoffman didn't need heroin. He had 72 bags of it on him when he was found dead.
You said you weren't very good friends, but would you describe him as a good friend? Did you trust him?
Yes, I think I probably did. But again, I don't go into a friendship looking for the wrong thing, if you understand what I mean. I'm an engaging person. I want to be able to engage. I want to find out. I want to learn.
Do you not think, Andrew, it might have been to your betterment that you did actually do that, given who you were and the status you had, that you should probably be a little bit suspicious? And also, as far as him being an engaging, interesting, wanting to hit. This is Prince Andrew, and for those of you who don't know, Prince Andrew is universally recognised as the biggest, most unlikable prick in the history of the royal family. This is a guy who screamed at his maids if they didn't arrange his teddy bears on the bed in the right order. Not when he was a child, when he was a full-grown fucking man. And if they weren't, you fucking get that, right? So No, none of that is true.
And so you have to remember that I was transitioning out of the Navy at the time.
Trans rights.
I wanted to find out more about what was going on, because in the Navy...
Everybody is your friend in the Navy.
It's a pretty isolated business because you're out at sea the whole time.
Apart from every Thursday when it's your turn to go in the barrel. He knows what I mean.
And I was going to become the Special Representative for International Trade and Investment. So I wanted to know more about what was going on in the international business world.
This is just one of the many examples we're going to see here of how the other half fucking live, isn't it? I was going to be in charge of international trade and all that. So I thought it would be a good idea to start learning, right? That's not how that works for most of us, is it? Most of us fucking learn something, then get the fucking job. Not this cunt.
The opportunities that I had to go to Wall Street and other places to learn whilst I was there were absolutely vital.
But here's the thing, Andrew. It's not hard to... I could go to Wall Street. You don't need Jeffrey Epstein. You're a fucking prince of the British royal family. You couldn't have given someone... you had to get in with Epstein. Like, Epstein's there going, can I get this guy in? Like, who is he? Oh, he's just a member of the British royal family. Fine, as he knows you, Jeffrey. Right, that's okay. I had the only way. You could probably just... You wouldn't even need to book an appointment. You could just walk in there.
He was your guest as well. In 2000, Epstein was a guest at Windsor Castle and at Sandringham. He was brought right into the heart of the royal family at your invitation.
But certainly at my invitation, not at the royal family's invitation.
Not his invitation, the royal family's invitation. And that would be a valid fucking point if it wasn't for the fact, Andrew, that those two things are the same fucking thing.
But remember that it was his girlfriend.
Okay, but that's worse. I mean, you do get how that's worse, right?
Am I right in thinking you threw a birthday party for Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, at Sandringham?
No, it was a shooting weekend.
A shooting weekend?
Just a straightforward shooting weekend.
Pew, pew, pew.
Now, this is a fucking face that this cunt makes for, like, throughout the entire interview. This frowny, like, that fucking fake, confused, like, what? Fake, like, it's just a regular shit. It wasn't a party, you know? Which is, I don't know what your definition of a party is. If someone says to me, do you want to go stay in a castle with a load of with about 10 geezers, and we're going to get drunk, we're going to have guns, we're going to wear jodhpurs and flat caps and shoot fucking, like, clay discs out the sky, right? For a birthday, during my birthday. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds like a party.
But during these times that he was a guest at Windsor Castle, at Sandringham, the shooting weekend,
Yep.
we now know that he was and had been procuring young girls for sex trafficking.
We now know that. At the time, there was no indication to me or anybody else that that was what he was doing. And certainly, when I saw him either in the United States, when I saw him in the United States, or when I was staying in his houses in the United States, there was no indication, absolutely no indication. And if there was...
Uh-oh, he's pulling it out early, even if there was fucking card.
You have to remember that at the time, I was patron of the NSPCC's Full Stop campaign, so I was close up.
How do you do, fellow kids?
With what was going on in those time about getting rid of abuse to children, so I knew what the things were to look for, but I never saw them.
Do you think maybe, Andrew, that was not the fucking right card to play there? Because, as we all know, people who work in positions of power for organisations that work specifically with children, who are then caught being friends with and hanging out with one of the world's most prolific fucking child sex traffickers, do you think maybe that was... You should at least resign your position. You should at least apologise for that one.
So you would have made that connection because you stayed with him, you were a visitor, a guest on many occasions at his homes, and nothing struck you as suspicious?
Nothing.
During that whole time?
Nothing.
I bet a lot of people stand across from you and assume just what a dumbass.
Just for the record, you've been on his private plane.
Yes.
You've been to stay on his private island.
Yes.
You've stayed at his home in Palm Beach.
Yes.
You've visited Ghislaine Maxwell's house in Belgravia in London.
Yes.
You've fucked teenage prostitutes who were hiding in his house. Yes. I mean, no.
So, in 2006, in May, an arrest warrant was issued for Epstein for sexual assault of a minor.
Yes.
In July...
Just look at the absolute look on his face, like he was arrested for sex of a minor. He went, yes, like he's legitimately pissed off at this point.
He was invited to Windsor Castle to your daughter Princess Beatrice's 18th birthday. Why would you do that?
Presumably because she was legal and therefore he's no longer a threat to her.
Because I was asking Ghislaine.
Yes, I wasn't asking the child sex trafficker. I was asking his girlfriend, and let her bring him as a +1. So that doesn't count.
But even so, at the time, I don't think certainly I wasn't aware when the invitation was issued what was going on in the United States. And I wasn't aware until the media picked up on it, because he never said anything about it.
Yeah, he probably didn't. He's not going to say, oh, Andrew, I'd love to come to your daughter's birthday party. By the way, currently being investigated for trafficking underage prostitutes. Will that put a dampener on the party?
Now this is journalism! Yeehaw!
He never discussed with you the fact that an arrest warrant had been issued.
No.
So he came to that party knowing police were investigating him.
Well, I'm not quite sure whether was it police that... I don't know. You see, this is the problem.
It was the Palm Beach police at the time.
You don't know whether the police... Who the fuck else is going to be investigating him? Scooby and the gang, for God's sake?
In 2008, he was convicted of soliciting and procuring a minor for prostitution. He was jailed. This was your friend. How did you feel about it?
Well, I ceased contact with him after I was aware that he was under investigation, and that was later on in 2006. And I wasn't in touch with him again until 2010. So...
Yeah, that's not the question she asked, though. She said, how did it feel? Like, what did you think? And he just went, well, I stopped talking to him. But yeah, even a dumbass like you can figure that out, right?
It was one of those things that if somebody's going through that sort of thing, well, I'm terribly sorry, I can't be...
so no contact?
No contact.
He was released in July. Within months, by December of 2010, you went to stay with him at his New York mansion. Why? Why were you staying with a convicted sex offender?
Right.
Give me all the details.
Okay.
So, having just spent 10 minutes telling us that we weren't close friends, I didn't really know. You weren't close friends, but you were close enough to feel you had to fly to New York, which, even when you're a fucking member of the royal family, is a pissing pain in the arse, right? You just to go and tell him you couldn't make a... Skype existed at this point, couldn't do that. You didn't even have to contact him. No one would fucking hold it against you, you cunt.
I have always, ever since this has happened, and since this has become, as it were, public knowledge that I was there, I've questioned myself as to why did I go, what was I doing, and was it the right thing to do? Now, I went there with the sole purpose of saying to him that because he had been convicted, it was inappropriate for us to be seen together.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
And I had a number of people counsel me in both directions, either to go and see him or not to go and see him.
I don't believe that. I don't believe you asked fucking anyone. If you did, sack the people who told you. And even the people, actually, people probably did tell him, and they were just fucking with him, because even they wanted to see that. They didn't know it was going to pay off in this dramatic a fashion, but they think, yeah, tell him to go fucking see him. Fucking idiot, or believe it, right?
And I took the judgment call that because this was serious, and I felt that Doing it over the telephone was the chicken's way of doing it. I had to go and see him and talk to him.
Now, I want you to just imagine that going on in his mind. He thought that if people found out he had ghosted Epstein after he'd been exposed as being this prolific Genghis Khan level child prostitute trafficker, people would find out that Prince Andrew ghosted him, and they'd be like, Andrew, you fucking ballless son of a bitch, you fucking dickless piece of shit. You couldn't even go and say it to his face. I'm fucking sending my fan club membership back first thing in the fucking... Of course they wouldn't, you cunt.
And we had an opportunity to go for a walk in the park, and that was the conversation, coincidentally, that was photographed.
Now, if there's any doubt in your mind that Prince Andrew is the world's most gullible, naive fucking ringnut, this is it. This is the picture that he is talking about that would... Now, Andrew, I know you're not watching this. Maybe you are. If you are, support me on Patreon, please. I know you're a bit strapped after this one, but I'll take your money. I don't fucking care. But anyway, this picture, do you see how perfectly well framed this photo is? Do you see how there's no way on fucking earth anyone could have got a better fucking photograph? Getting your face and his standing there. So Epstein says to you, okay, we need to have a chat. Sure, Andrew, let's go for a walk in the park. You know, this big, nice, cavernous, and let's stop and then he says, stop and tell me here, in this perfectly framed spot. He probably drew a fucking X on the ground, and they're stood right there between these two fucking massive trees, and you stop there, and it never occurred to you. It's like, you know, maybe I shouldn't be seen in public. You went there to say you couldn't be seen with him anymore. So what do? You go out and do it in public. I know we make jokes about fucking inbreeding in this family, but fucking shag a dog.
Which was when I said to him, I said, look, because of what has happened, I don't think it is appropriate that we should remain in contact. And by mutual agreement during that walk in the park, we decided that we would part company, and I left, I think it was the next day.
I don't think we should be in contact anymore. And we agreed, and then I went back to his place and stayed the night. Because that's what you do, isn't it? When you've told someone, when you say to me, it's over, we're done. I'm sorry, I draw the line at fucking kids. Can I stay tonight? Right, I've got my flights in the morning. No!
What did he say when you told him that you were breaking up the friendship?
He was what I would describe as understanding.
Of course he fucking was. He's got... Do you realise how many terabytes, how many fucking Google bytes of fucking information? He also knows he's very understanding. Do you know why? Because he's got a fucking cameraman filming you right now. You're fucking there, mate. You're there.
He didn't go into any great depth.
Based on the description of his penis in the deposition, I don't think he's ever been in much great depth of anything.
In the conversation about what I was doing, or what he was doing, except to say that he'd accepted whatever it was, a plea bargain. He'd served his time, and he was carrying on with his life.
I love the way he throws in that. He tries to downplay it again by saying he'd served his time. He was in prison for, what was it, 3 years? You know, it was a first offence. You traffic 1,000 children and you fuck one sheep.
Who advised you then that it was a good idea to go and break up the friendship? Did that come from the palace? Was Her Majesty the Queen involved?
No. That came from... So there were a number of people who so some people from my staff, some people from friends and family I was talking to, and I took the decision that it was, I had to show leadership and I had to go and see him and I had to tell him that's it.
Because that's what people respect in a leader, isn't it? Imagine, there's a general election going on in this country. Can you imagine, right, anyone running to be a leader? Or imagine saying, listen, I'm the kind of guy, when he realises he's been friends with a convicted sex offender, he goes and fucking tells him to his face, right? He says that, listen, I can't be seen. Not, this is awful, you're a monster, but I can't be seen with any of you anymore. It would be inappropriate. I'd vote for that motherfucker, wouldn't you? Also, he asked his staff. Yeah, they're the ones who told him. That maid who he shouted at for fucking up his teddy bears.
That was December of 2010.
Yep.
He threw a party to celebrate his release, and you were invited as the guest of honour.
Oh, in 2010? That certainly wasn't a party to celebrate his release in December, because it was a small dinner party. There were only 8 or 10 of us.
Again, another one of the... I'm sorry. I had a line to get out here. I can't fucking remember it. It wasn't a party to celebrate. It was just 10 people coming over. But most people watching this, if you had 10 people in your house, you couldn't fucking move, could you? It was only 10 people to have dinner. It wasn't a party. And it wasn't to celebrate his release. He was just who cares what it was for? Who cares whether it was to fucking... Why did you do this? He's had, bearing in mind, at this point, he's had 15 fucking years to come up with a reasonable fucking alibi. Anything.
I think at the dinner, if there was a party...
Yeah, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it.
Then I'd know nothing about that.
You were invited to that dinner as a guest of honour.
Well, I was there, so there was a dinner. I don't think it was quite as you might put it, but yeah, okay, I was there at a dinner, yeah.
Why is this so complicated? Did you go to a gathering of people in a social environment to meet, and was Epstein one of the people there? This is the third time she's fucking asking him this.
I'm just trying to work this out, because you said you went to break up the relationship, and yet you stayed at that New York mansion several days. I'm wondering how long...
But I was doing a number of other things while I was there.
But you were staying at the house of
yes.
I love how he's just like, yes. Yeah, like as if to say, and?
Did sex offender.
That thing there, that a deep breath, that's him now. That is him trying to inhale a fucking good answer to this fucking question. Let's see how well he does, folks.
It was a convenient place to stay.
No, he didn't have one. He couldn't have. It was a convenient place to stay. Yeah, New York, it's not like there's anywhere in New York he could have stayed. There's nothing in it. There's nowhere else. Could you have not gone home? Sleep on anywhere. In the bin outside his apartment. Any fucking where. Surely you wouldn't want to be there.
I've gone through this in my mind so many times. At the end of the day, with the benefit of all the hindsight that one can have.
You do realise, Andrew, that you are the only motherfucker that needs this hindsight. No one else needs hindsight in this fucking scenario.
It was definitely the wrong thing to do, but at the time I felt it was the honourable and right thing to do.
You might think now that the use of the word honourable there was stretching it. Well, take a deep breath, folks. Because when he says honourable, plebs like you and me, scumbags like us, we might have a certain level of honour. We might even be able to conceptually figure out what level of honour other people might have. But you're not ready. You're not ready for the amount of honour that Prince Andrew has here.
And I admit fully that my judgment was probably coloured by my... tendency to be too honourable, but that's just the way it is.
That is amazing. And you, my friend, are a true hero. Not because of what you do for a job, but because of what you've overcome.
I mean, this cunt. I mean, come on. Fuck this guy in every fucking hole he's got at this point. Too honourable. You know he's the kind of motherfucker who goes to a job interview. Like, what are your weaknesses? Well, I'm too much of a perfectionist. Is my problem. I'm too punctual, and I've got eczema.
Because during that time, those few days, witnesses say they saw many young girls coming and going at the time. There is video footage of Epstein accompanied by young girls, and you were there, staying in his house, catching up with friends.
Look at the look on his face there. Just like a spoilt child who's just been... No.
I mean, if they were...
If they were, where the fuck... What did they all hide when you came in the room? Was there like a... Was there a certain person giving signals? He walked past There's like a girl there with a lampshade on her head, or so, and one behind a pot plant. And this fucking dopey prick. Well, you see, the problem is children are very short, right? And a man like me, an honourable, noble man, I walk around looking up all the fucking time.
Then I wasn't a party to any of that. I never saw them.
Well, Andrew, you couldn't be a party to that, because we know you don't like fucking parties, do you?
I mean, you have to understand that his house
in the middle of his street.
I described it more as almost as a railway station, if you know what I mean, in the sense that there were people coming in and out of that house all the time.
Oh yeah, there were people coming in that house all the time.
What they were doing and why they were there, I had nothing to do with. So I'm afraid I can't make any comment on that because I really don't know.
Another guest was John Brockman, the literary agent. Now,
at this point, he knew he fucked up. Let's just play that fucking reaction he had to that guy's name again.
Another guest was John Brockman, the literary agent. Now, he described seeing you there getting a foot massage from a young Russian woman. Did that happen?
No.
You're absolutely sure, or you can't remember?
Absolutely sure.
So John Brockman's statement is false.
Andrew, the answer you want to give here is yes.
Well, I don't know Mr. Brockman, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Dreadful. What the fuck is wrong with you?
It might seem a funny way to break off a friendship, a 4-day house party of sorts with a dinner. It's an odd way to break up a friendship.
It's a difficult way of putting it. That's a very stark way of putting it. Yes, you're absolutely right.
That's a bit fucking... I mean, literally just describing everything I've told you happened. Yes, when you put it like that, when you use the words that I've just said, then yes, I suppose that is mental, yeah.
But actually the
I'm sorry, are you about to actually this fucking argument?
The truth of it is that I actually only saw him for about the dinner party, the walk in the park, and probably passing in the passage.
Oh, that's fine then. I just saw him for the entire night, and for when we went there, and just passing in the passage. Strangers in the night. It doesn't matter.
So let's go to that Central Park walk, which was snapped. Friends of yours suggest that Epstein wanted that photo taken. Perhaps he'd even set it up. Do you worry that you were being played?
Again, new information is coming out since his suicide has made us reappraise that walk in the park.
Is this new information that you're a fucking idiot?
We can't find any evidence, or my staff and my people and I can't find any evidence to suggest that that was what he was doing.
What evidence would you be looking for? Like a note to a photographer, like a bit of a plaque saying "My plan to fuck over Prince Andrew" by Jeffrey Epstein, age 13 3/4. What are you looking for? How about this? That photo is just too perfectly fucking taken.
I mean, you can look at it in so many different ways. The fact of the matter is that somebody very cleverly took that photograph.
Like how he's giving props to the geezer who took the photo. Oh, very clever of you. See a member of the royal family and a fucking convicted billionaire sex offender walking in the park, and you take a picture.
It wasn't, as far as I remember, nor do my security people remember anybody being present or close.
I'm sure the security people couldn't have given a fuck even if they did. But also, do you not think that draws a bit of attention? Like you there with him, walking in Central Park with security around you. You know, maybe a few tourists round there that sitting around going, "Oh, what's going on here?" I can't even with this motherfucker anymore. You know, they weren't in the vicinity. What are they going to run up to you with a camera? Just
because there were enough security around. I mean, there are even photographs of the security people are around in the photograph. So I mean, He could have done, but I
yeah.
In that moment, I think Emily Mattis was all of us right there with that one fucking play that again.
Yeah. I guess what I'm asking is, do you feel that you were part of Epstein's public rehabilitation?
Oh, no. Funny enough, I don't.
Because even Jeffrey Epstein had enough awareness to think, Prince Andrew, I don't want to be seen dead with that motherfucker.
So why wouldn't you announce this breakup when you got back? Why wouldn't you publicly explain what you'd done? Did you worry that he had something that could compromise you?
No.
I'm sorry, you answered that question a little bit too fucking quickly. Do you think he had something that could... No.
No.
Do you regret that trip?
Yes.
Hallelujah. He's finally... Do you regret that too? Yes. Good, Andrew. Well done. You're finally getting this. Yes. Just say the right answers. Now. Carry on.
Do you regret the whole friendship with Epstein?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Just don't... No. Don't you fucking dare. You say yes. Do it again. You just fucking did it.
Now, still not. And the reason being is that the people that I met and the opportunities that I was given to learn, either by him or because of him, were actually very useful.
You don't regret being friends with this guy because some of the contacts that he put you in touch with were useful. You know, there are probably some people who learn a great deal about architecture from Joseph Fritzl. It doesn't mean you can say, I kind of regret working for... You can still... Both things can still exist.
Was that visit, December of 2010, the only time you saw him after he was convicted?
Yes.
Did you see him or speak to him again?
No, that was that. Funny enough, 2010 was it. That was it, because I went... Well, first of all, I wanted to make sure that if I was going to go and see him, I had to make sure that there was enough time between his release, because it wasn't something that I was going into in a hurry, but I had to go and see him. I had to go and see him. I had to
stay with him and stay in the house.
I could easily have gone and stayed somewhere else.
Bingo! Yes, you could. You could have walked in to any fucking hotel, anywhere. You could have gone round anyone's house and be like, I'm Prince Andrew. They'd be like, I know who you are, motherfucker. Do you want to stay over? Yeah, okay. Right, stay out of that room, right?
But sheer convenience of being able to get a hold of the man was I mean, he was in and out all over the place. So
that was an unfortunate unintended euphemism, that, wasn't it?
Getting him in one place for a period of time to actually have a long enough conversation to say, look, these are the reasons why I'm not going to, and that happened on the walk.
He talks about him like he's a child with ADHD. Just getting him to stand still for 5 minutes. Go, Jeffrey, we need to fucking talk. Come on. And he was like, yeah, go on, let's do it while we're walking.
July of this year, Epstein was arrested on charges of sex trafficking and abusing dozens of underage girls. One of Epstein's accusers, Virginia Roberts, has made allegations against you. She says she met you in 2001. She says she dined with you, danced with you at Tramp nightclub in London. She went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell, your friend. Your response?
I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever.
You don't remember meeting her?
No.
Now, obviously, that first answer wasn't satisfactory enough to Emily Mattis, because he hasn't said no. He's just said he doesn't recall. So what she's now going to do is ask him the exact same question, just slower, like you would like a foreigner.
She says she met you in 2001. She dined with you. She danced with you. You bought her drinks. You were in Tramp nightclub in London. And she went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Didn't happen.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
Do you remember her?
No. I have no recollection of ever meeting her. I'm almost, in fact, I'm convinced that I was never in Tramps with her. There are a number of things that are wrong with that story. One of which is that I don't know where the bar is in Tramps.
Because this place is a fucking labyrinthian maze. What do you mean you do? Now, this is something he's going to do, again, to try and sort of get out of any of the accusations. He's going to make a load of what are baseball claims. I don't know where the bar is. That's something you should know simply by being alive. It's a nightclub. And also, just because you don't know where the bar is, doesn't mean you don't order drinks. I'm imagining, bit more upper high-class fucking place, bit more fancy. You'd probably order them at your table, or they just drag you in and they bring you... They're not expecting you, Prince Andrew, in a fucking... to be there with a fucking tenner, waving it like you was fucking spoons.
I don't drink.
Because people who don't drink alcohol never leave the house.
I don't think I've ever bought a drink in Tramps.
Well, how could you? You don't know where the fucking bar is. The entire bar. Like if he'd been in Tramps, it would just be him. You just see Prince Andrew wandering around aimlessly, dying of thirst.
Do you remember dancing at Tramp?
No, that couldn't have happened because the date that is being suggested, I was at home with the children.
To be fair, all of these problems that you've got now, Andrew, stem from you being at home with children.
You know that you were at home with the children. Was it a memorable night?
On that particular day that we now understand is the date, which is the 10th of March, I was at home. I was with the children. I'd taken Beatrice to a Pizza Express in Woking for a party at I suppose sort of 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
This guy is a member of the royal family. He can get in anywhere. Imagine your dad is a Prince Regent, and for your birthday, you, the apple of his eye, he takes you to fucking Pizza Express in Woking. For your birthday. Where are you going? Disneyland? No. Right, we going there? No. Where are we going? Fucking Pizza Express.
Why would you remember that so specifically? Why would you remember a Pizza Express birthday and being at home?
That's a very good question. I think the more pertinent question is, how come you don't remember being at a billionaire's mansion, being at a billionaire's apartment, being on a billionaire's private jet, being on a billionaire's private island, any of the stuff that happened there, but you specifically remember when you went to a Pizza Express in Woking in 2004 on the date, the exact same date that you were accused of hanging out with a teenage prostitute? Maybe this is an example of just, because I'd remember the first set of things. I wouldn't remember. I don't know. Do you know where you were March 10th, 2004? No, you fucking don't, do you?
Because going to Pizza Express in Woking is an unusual thing for me to do.
Now, Frank hated this painting, He made me take it down.
I do not like this painting, Charlie. Smug aura mocks me.
A very unusual thing for me to do. I've only been to Woking a couple of times, and I remember it weirdly distinctly. As soon as somebody reminded me of it, I went, oh yes, I remember that.
Why would someone remind you of it? Why? Why would anyone bring that up for you? And you go, weirdly, yes, I know it's amazing that it coincidentally happens to be on the exact same date that I'm accused of being in this bar with a teenage prostitute. But oh yeah. And what are the odds that she would pick the same date? Right. However, this did lead to the Woking Pizza Express receiving a lot more attention on TripAdvisor and other such review websites, and getting such brilliant reviews such as this. 5 stars, Andy's review. Not really one for writing reviews, but Mother suggested I do so people believe I did visit. I remember this visit in particular as it was a very hot evening in March 2001, and I was pleased to see that I was not sweating one bit. 4 stars, a night out to remember, at least when I was reminded about it. Tasty but pricey, had a lovely pizza here with my 2 girls a while back. Really nice but bloody expensive, cost me 10 million quid or so. 4 stars, a little disappointed but food okay. We visited here for the historical context, but unfortunately there are no records of anything.
So you're absolutely sure that you're at home on the 10th of March?
Yeah.
She was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating
Because I've had enough of this dude. Just cut it right out of the frame. Well,
possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, and it's only because I have done a number of things in the recent past that I'm starting to be able to.
Now, there's only one way to describe this condition, which is total bollocks. The fact that he says that what I would describe as a medical condition, not what a doctor would describe, not what any medical profession expert would describe. He also then says things I've done in recent times. The Falklands was fucking 40 years ago, and he's just I've started to do what would one of them be? This interview. Where you notice he had to sort of mention that I'm definitely over it now because he's glistening like a coke addict on a summer's day in this fucking interview. However, I'm not going to get into the details about this. There is a medical condition that does stop people from sweating. However, as James Hamblin, MD, wrote in The Atlantic when he was talking about this specific condition, he, to summarise the article, a temporary inability to sweat would defy medical precedent. A long-standing detachment from the consequences of one's actions would not. So, if you want to research or go into that one a bit more, you're welcome to. But as we can say here, this is fucking horseshit.
Do you remember meeting her at all?
No.
Do you know you didn't meet her, or do you just not remember meeting her?
No, I have. I don't know if I've met her, but no, I have no recollection of meeting her.
Because she was very specific. She described the dance that you had together in Tramp.
Now, I haven't looked into this in great detail to find out what the dance he was doing is, but I like to think that Prince Andrew was flossing.
She described meeting you. She was a 17-year-old girl meeting a senior member of the royal family.
Never happened.
You're not an intellectual. You're a fake and a fraud.
She provided a photo of the two of you together.
Yes.
Your arm was around her waist.
Yes.
You've seen the photo.
I've seen the photograph.
How do you explain that?
I can't.
Now, this is the photo in question that he can't explain. If you can't recall meeting someone and then you see a photo like this, you say you can't explain. I can. I mean, there is at least one explanation, which is that's you, that's your fucking hand, and that's your other hand, seemingly, doing that, either that or you're covering your erection. Oh, and that in the background there, that's Ghislaine Maxwell.
Of that photograph ever being taken.
Do you recognise yourself in the photo?
Yeah, it's pretty difficult not to recognise yourself.
Your friend suggested that the photo is fake.
His friend suggested, because this guy is too stupid to even think of that fucking excuse. Most people would probably think, I need to get out of this. How can I possibly do this? You, first thing, claim the photo's fake. No, he needed someone else to plant that idea in his fucking head.
I think it's, from the investigations that we've done, you can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked or not, because it is a photograph of a photograph of a photograph.
Now, I don't know what he means by that. This looks pretty clear. For a photograph of a photograph of a photograph, if it is a photograph of a photograph of a photograph, why would you fake that? Why would you fake a photograph of a photograph of a photograph? If you have the technology to fake a photograph, then you would just show the photograph. You wouldn't make the photograph, print it off, take another picture of it, print that off, take another picture of it, and it's difficult to fake. Well, what are the options here, Andrew? What are the fucking, this can't be AI, it was too fucking long ago. What are the options available to it? Either this photograph is real, or it's not. You've not done much to help your fucking cause that this ain't real.
But it's possible that it was you with your arm around
That's
her
me, but whether that's my hand or whether that's the position, I have simply no recollection.
Now we need to break down what he just said there. That's definitely me, but that might not be my hand. Now, this would be, I think, personally, it would be fucking hilarious if it turned out that that was some geezer behind the door just fucking doing that around this woman's waist, just grabbing her waist like that so they can stitch him up. That would be fucking brilliant.
The world has now seen the photo that Virginia Roberts provided, taken by Epstein, we understand, in Ghislaine Maxwell's house.
Well, here's the problem. I've never seen Epstein with a camera in my life.
Okay.
I don't remember that photograph ever being taken. I don't remember going upstairs in the house, because that photograph is taken upstairs.
Because Prince Andrew has the same physical restrictions that a cow has. How foolish of them to make this fake image with this teenage prostitute next to the banisters of the stairs, not knowing that he'd never been upstairs. And then to claim that Epstein took it, even though he's never seen Epstein with a camera. To claim that she was in a nightclub where he doesn't know where the bar is. To claim that he sweats when he has a very rare medical condition that he doesn't fucking sweat. And to claim that it happened on a day where he just so happened to be in a Woking Pizza Express. Are you fucking kidding me?
So why would somebody have put in another hand? You think it is you next to her in the photo?
Oh, it's definitely me. I mean, that's a picture of me. It's not a picture of. I don't believe it's a picture of me in London, because when I go out in London, I wear a suit and a tie.
You've got a shirt and trousers on because, as we know, once you put a shirt and tie on, this is the problem with suits, a shirt and tie and a suit, is that they're impossible to remove. You can't ever take them off. It's a disgraceful design flaw that makers of suits really need to sort out.
Just to clarify, so you think that photo has been faked?
Okay, we're going to go over this one more time, Andy. The answer to this question is yes. That's what you say now.
Nobody can prove whether or not that photograph has been doctored, but I don't recollect that photograph ever being taken.
Why am I even trying? I'm sat here trying really hard to fucking coach this guy in a 5-year-old interview, and he doesn't know who I am, and it's all for nothing.
And you don't recollect having your hand round her waist in Ghislaine Maxwell's house on any occasion, even if it was a different date?
I'm terribly sorry, but if I, as a member of the royal family, and I have a photograph taken, and I take very, very few photographs, I am not one to, as it were, hug, and public displays of affection are not something that I do.
If I'm being honest, Andy, the feeling is more than reciprocated by most people. But you don't pose so many photos. Can I go over some of these ones again?
Girl, I want to make you sweat. Sweat till you can't sweat no more. And if you cry out, I'm gonna push it some more. Girl, I want to make you sweat. Sweat till you can't sweat no more. And if you cry out, I'm gonna push it some more.
Here's you with your hand round Melania Trump, for fuck's sake. What's this one? This woman here with her arm round your head, licking your face. You don't need to pose for photos, you dumb motherfucker.
Why would people not believe that you were there?
I'm sorry, why would?
I'm just trying to understand. There's a photo inside Ghislaine Maxwell's house. Ghislaine herself is in the background. Why would people not believe that you were there with her that night?
They might well wish to believe it, but the photograph is taken upstairs, and I don't think I ever went upstairs.
There's a problem with that excuse, Andrew. We don't know that that's true. That just sounds like the best excuse you could possibly come up with. It's just well, he said he never went upstairs. Because why would you go upstairs? He's a member of the royal family. He doesn't know what stairs are. He's been carried upstairs by a butler his entire life. What do you mean you never went upstairs? Maybe those are the stairs to the basement. Didn't think of that, did you? You fucking prick.
You're sure of that?
Yeah, because the dining room and everything was on the ground floor.
Well, what was upstairs? Nothing. There's no reason. There was no room. The dining room was downstairs, and all I do is wake up and eat. Is that where all the prostitutes were?
Because she said in a legal deposition, a legal court document in 2015, she had sex with you 3 times.
Would have been amazing if you went, excuse me, 6? I mean, no. Now, just a quick trigger warning. Whilst the Prince Andrew is being relayed this information, he's about to just pull the most irritating, contemptuous face you've ever fucking seen in your life.
She is not confused about this. She said the first was in
sudden impact. He's eating the ropes.
London, when she was trafficked to you. The second was at Epstein's mansion in New York.
That is a date in April, I believe. Is that correct?
She said it was a month or so later.
Yeah. Well, I think that the date that we have for that shows that I was in Boston, or I was in New York the previous day, and I was at a dinner for the Outward Bound Trust in New York, and then I flew up to Boston the following day. And then on the day that she says that this occurred, they'd already left to go to the island before I got back from Boston.
I don't know if you know this, folks. Boston and New York, not that fucking far apart. Could probably get there and back in a day. Do you know what you could also do? You could also lie and say, I was in Boston at this place. I don't know that. I was supposed to believe, is it going to be like the Brett Kavanaugh trial, where you're going to pull out like your diary?
There was a witness there, Johanna Stolberg, who says that you did visit the house in that month.
I probably did. I don't think, on one of the weird things, I was staying with the, because of what I was doing, I was staying with the Consul General, which is further down the street on Fifth. So I wasn't staying there. I may have visited, but
Do you remember like a little bit ago in this same interview when this motherfucker said he stayed at Epstein's for 3 days after he broke up with him because it was convenient. It was the most convenient place. Now, when he's fucking turning up there, he's like, oh, I wasn't staying there. I was further down the road.
Because in a legal deposition, 2015, she said she had sex with you 3 times. Once in a London house when she was trafficked to you in Maxwell's house.
Yes.
Once in New York, a month or so later at Epstein's mansion, and once on his private island in a group of 7 or 8 other girls.
No.
You are done. Fired.
She made these claims in a US deposition.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying you don't believe her? She's lying.
Okay, let's try this one more time, Andrew. The answer to this question is fucking yes. She's lying. Either this happened or it didn't. And you're saying it definitely didn't happen. So, answer, yes.
That's a very difficult thing to answer because I'm not in a position to know what she's trying to achieve, but
That wasn't the question. The question is, are you saying she's lying? Not why do you think she's doing this? Do you honestly think someone would fucking... Can you imagine how fucking bleak and broken someone's mind would have to be for them to have hallucinations that they're having sex with Prince Andrew? How fucking demented you'd have to be.
So if Virginia Roberts is watching this interview, what is your message to her?
You shut your mouth, fatty. The Rock will come out there and slap the herpes off your lips.
I don't have a message for her because I have to have a thick skin. If somebody's going to make those sorts of allegations, then I've just got to have a thick skin and get on with it.
I'll just drop the fucking... I've just got to be the fucking hero act at this point.
For the record, is there any way you could have had sex with that young woman or any young woman trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein in any of his residences?
Throw me a frickin' bone here.
I can't. I've racked my brain and thinking, oh, well, when the allegations came out originally, I went, well, that's a bit strange. I don't remember this.
Because that is a perfectly normal reaction to have when you're accused of fucking children that you've got procured from a child prostitute trafficker. And someone comes out and says, yes, he fucked me. It's to go, well, that's very strange. I don't remember. If you didn't do it, you go, that's bollocks. That would have been cool if you'd done that. But you don't, you just go, that's very unusual.
Epstein's housekeeper, also in a Florida court legal deposition, said that you visited the Palm Beach residence around 4 times a year. You got a daily massage.
4 times a year?
Me, the 13th Duke of Wimbim, here in Jeffrey Epstein's living room with a Russian prostitute massaging my feet with a bottle of vodka and a dildo.
That was what he said in a Florida court legal deposition.
No.
I'm just wondering, when you look back now, is there a chance that those massages might have been the services of someone who was being sexually exploited or trafficked by Epstein?
No.
That nigga is guilty!
In fact, probably that was the place that if you see what I mean, he was in the house more there than in other places that I was.
So that's where you'd find him.
But it was usually because I was going through and on somewhere else. So it was a day. That was it.
A day, which far too short a period of time for you to, I don't know, have sex.
You said in your statement from the palace,
Yep.
at no time did I see, witness or suspect any suspicious behaviour.
Yep.
Virginia Roberts' legal team says you could not spend time around Epstein and not know what was going on. You could not spend time around Epstein and not know what was going on.
Now, at this point, if I was Andrew, I would take the place of, look, you have to understand, I am incredibly fucking stupid and oblivious to anything or anyone around me, because that is the only defence he's got left at this point.
If you are somebody like me...
Oh, don't get me started on what somebody like you is.
Then people behave in a subtly different way.
They do things, you know, they might talk a bit differently, they might tidy up a bit more, they might, stand differently, they might say, get all the prostitutes in the basement quick, Andrew's coming round, subtle things like that.
The other aspect of this is that I live in an institution at Buckingham Palace which has members of staff walking around all the time.
You live in Buckingham Palace as a member of the royal family. You're not Jeffrey Epstein, who apparently was barely there. He doesn't have a family. How many of your staff at Buckingham Palace are fucking 16-year-old Russian prostitutes?
And I don't wish to appear grand.
Fuck! And I cannot overstate this enough. Off.
You'd notice if there were hundreds of underage girls in Buckingham Palace, wouldn't
I think Andrew just came thinking about that. You'd notice if there were underage prostitutes. Oh, God, yes. Oh, fucking hell.
But you would notice if there were hundreds of underage girls in Jeffrey's house. Wasn't there. Not when I was there.
When I was there? What did he do with them all? He put fucking overcoats on each other's shoulders. What did he do with them, Andrew?
Now, he may have changed his behaviour patterns in order for that not to be obvious to me.
Andrew, having loads of prostitutes around the house is not a behavioural pattern. What do you think he's going to do? Act like a pimp while he's around you?
You seem utterly convinced you're telling the truth. Would you be willing to testify or give a statement under oath if you were asked?
Now, do you remember if you watched the Fiona Harvey video, do you remember when she was asked if she wanted to take a lie detector test? Here we go.
Well, I'm like everybody else, and I would have to take all the legal advice that there was before I was to do that sort of thing. But if push came to shove and the legal...
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew. Got something in your throat there. I'm like that was the worst part of that sentence. I'm like No, you are fucking not. I'm like everyone else. I've just got to consult with 50 or 60 of my best lawyers, and if push came to shove, no, you just say, yes, I would. I know you can't say that. You're as guilty as Jimmy Savile sweating in Mothercare.
Because you've said there are many unanswered questions.
Yep.
Everyone affected wants closure. You would help to provide that closure.
Whoa, you're asking the wrong guy, but thank you.
I'm afraid to say that I'm not the person who can shed light on it for a number of reasons, one of which is that I wasn't there long enough. If you go in for a day, 2 days at a time...
Andrew, you were there for 3 days after you told him you didn't want to see him anymore. What did he do? Where were these prostitutes hiding? Were they Anne Franking it at the attic?
Virginia Roberts' lawyers, legal team, say that they've asked for a legal statement from you. There is an active FBI investigation now. Would you be willing to provide that?
Oh, I think he's done enough damage. Now I think they'll just play this interview in the court.
Epstein was found dead.
Yep.
In prison.
Yes.
In August of this year.
Yep.
What was your response on hearing that he'd died?
I can't believe you committed suicide. I cannot believe you committed suicide.
Some people think that he didn't take his own life.
Well, there again, I'm not one to be able to answer that question.
Andrew, right, word of advice, try not to laugh too hard when they're talking about Epstein being dead. There's enough conspiracies about it, and I'll just say this on it. I totally get why people think that Epstein didn't kill himself. It makes perfect fucking sense. But it also kind of makes sense that he would. He wasn't stupid, and he knew he was toast. Probably, given what tends to happen with child sex abusers in fucking prison, he probably thought, fuck this, I'm cashing out. And I'll also say this. If he was murdered for the reasons that people suggest, which is that he knew all of this stuff about all these other people, and he had all these fucking tapes and stuff that were gonna expose them, then why wasn't Ghislaine Maxwell also killed? Because she's got all the fucking information too. Right? And in fact, a lot of the information has already come out anyway. So killing him if he was killed, didn't do anything.
He's dead. His girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, your old friend,
Yep.
was, victims say, complicit in his behaviour.
Well, that bit I can't help you with because I've no idea.
Because I barely knew Ghislaine Maxwell. I barely knew her. Knew nothing. Barely knew or met her once or twice. In fact, I knew her through my good friend Jeffrey Epstein. What do you mean you can't help us?
If there are questions that Ghislaine has to answer, that's her problem. I'm afraid I'm not in a position to be able to comment one way or the other.
When was your last contact with her?
It was earlier this year, funny enough, in the summer.
You fucking kidding me? Those are things she's gonna have to answer herself. When did you meet her? Oh, last week. She was round for tea with her. What is the matter with you?
About what?
She was here doing some rally.
So even though he had by then been arrested and was facing charges of sex trafficking?
No. This was early spring, I think. It was long, because when was he arrested?
July.
No, it was before July.
Did you see that? Did you see what he just did then? He just did that thing. You go, oh no, it was way before that. Because when was he arrested again? And then she tells him, and he goes, oh no, it's before that. That is way before that. Oh, he clearly just got whatever answer she was going to say. Oh, he was arrested in 1804. Oh, this was way before that. It wouldn't matter.
And that was the last time?
Yeah.
Did you discuss Epstein at all then?
No, actually, funnily enough, no, not at all.
What was he going to say then? No, because actually, funny story, but no.
There wasn't anything to discuss about him.
There wasn't anything, nothing. There wasn't anything, Andrew. You can't think of one thing, even in passing. Not one thing.
Because he wasn't in the news. It wasn't, it was just...
He wasn't in the news. And so you just don't, because he's not, that's the only reason to talk about someone? Because they're in the fucking news at the time?
Epstein is dead.
Yes.
Andrew, stop laughing. Every time she says Epstein's dead. Epstein's dead. Yeah.
Epstein is dead.
Yes.
The women are now being heard.
Quite rightly.
Based Prince Andrew there. Quite right.
How do you move on from this?
Well, it's an interesting way of putting it.
No, it's not. It was just a question. How do you move on from this? Of course, what he will do is end up going to civil court where he'll end up having to pay her £12 million of our money in compensation. £12 million. And what was the main subject of the news for the last few years? Fucking Meghan Markle and Prince Harry not doing their Netflix documentary or whatever horse shit they were moaning about. This motherfucker, 12 million quid.
I wonder what effect all this has had on your close family. You've got daughters of your own.
It has been what I would describe as a constant sore in the family. It was a surprise to all of us because the photographs were published at a separate time to when I was there, and there was sort of a question about what was going on, and as a family we discussed it. And then in 2015, when the allegations were made in the deposition, there was a sort of this is the immediate family, not the wider family. The wider family couldn't be more supportive. But the immediate family, it was, well, what's all this about?
What's this about? That's not a question you ask someone who's been accused of having sex with child prostitutes. That's the end of a Peter Kay joke. Hey Andrew, what's all this about? Right? I've got a better idea of how this probably went.
Look at this one.
If I was in a position to be able to answer all these questions in a way that gave sensible answers other than the ones that I've given them.
Here's the thought, Andrew. If you can't answer these questions in a way that makes sense or a way that is going to be in any way satisfactory or believable, why are you here? What are you doing?
How do you reconnect with the public then now?
But exactly what I'm doing.
Exactly what you're doing. What, making a cunt of yourself on TV? Actually, that would be cool. That would be a great way to reconnect with the British public. It's just for you to just publicly humiliate yourself on a weekly basis. Just play this, just have someone else interview you for an hour every week as a running series, and we can all laugh at you.
I know we have to bring this to a close because we're running out of time.
Just realised.
What?
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
I wonder what that tells us about the way the royal family now confronts these difficult situations.
Well, I think there's one thing they can do, and that is stop fucking children! All you've got to do, you're a member of the royal family, you're going to get enough shit off people just for that. But all you got to do, just smile, wave, do your job, and whatever you do, don't fuck any children. Those are the only two on the contract. It says, do what you're told, smile and wave, don't fuck any kids. That's it.
Do I regret the fact that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming? Yes.
Unbecoming? He was a sex offender.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being polite, in the sense that he was a sex offender.
I'm being polite. I just see the look on Emily Mattis' face. Unbecoming. He was a sex offender. I'm being polite. I don't want to offend the sex offender community out there.
This interview has been exceptionally rare. You might not speak on this subject again. Is there anything you feel has been left unsaid that you would like to say now?
What's wrong with me? Why can't I feel?
No, I don't think so.
And that's the end, folks. That's all I've got to say. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, post a comment, subscribe, etc., etc. And support me on Patreon as well. Remember, 10 likes to piss off my girlfriend. If there's any interviews you would like to see me sit through and fucking have a stroke watching, not that kind, then please do feel free to post it in the comments. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. Good night, may God bless, and where there's no sense, there's Prince Andrew.